Discover the incredible Plan C, a life-changing journey to hidden billionaire secrets exposed. Sarah Thompson's life was an unending swirl of chaos and love. In the heart of Cedarville, the scent of freshly baked pies floated through the air as she tucked a wayward strand of hair behind her ear and smiled at the families laughing at the local diner. Working as a waitress, she was always on her feet, serving meals to regulars who called for extra gravy or pie with ice cream. Gracie and Max were in her thoughts even as she poured coffee and wiped down tables. With each shift, Sarah fought against the tide of bills and responsibilities, but kept afloat on waves of love. Just one glimpse of her children's smiling faces filled her with strength. This daily struggle changed the moment she ventured into the dusty attic while looking for the holiday decorations. Among the cobwebs and forgotten knickknacks, she stumbled upon her grandfather's old journal. The moment her fingers traced the fragile pages, the words Plan C leapt out at her, promising hidden pathways to financial freedom. The thought of a better future for Gracie and Max ignited a fire within her, spreading warmth throughout her weary heart. This venture he once dreamed about could be her chance to change everything. "Sarah, you're not seriously thinking about this, are you?" Jake, her childhood friend, scoffed, folding his arms as they sat together in the diner after hours. "You can't escape reality, Sarah. Just accept it." Each word hit her like a punch to the gut, the anger rising like bile in her throat. But as the sun began to set on Cedarville, something within her shifted. The journal whispered secrets of the town's wealthy elite, revealing their success was often built on deceit, including Walter Green, the local millionaire whose pursuit of wealth overshadowed the struggles of hard-working families. The injustice burned inside her, demanding to be unleashed. She could no longer watch her friends and neighbors suffer while the rich feasted on their hard work. "Just be careful," her family warned. "We need you with us, not lost in some pipe dream." Each concerned look deepened her internal battle, but the journal's revelations lit a path she felt destined to follow. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Sarah began piecing together clues, an anonymous note slipped under her door one night. "Back off or else." Panic surged within her. Could she really challenge the town's elite? Heart racing, she clutched the journal to her chest, feeling both the thrill of possibilities and the weight of dread. What would this journey of unveiling secrets cost her, her family's safety, their bond, or even her life? A storm was brewing in Cedarville, and Sarah stood at its eye, ready to fight for the chance at something greater. Would her quest for justice drive a wedge between her and those she loved? Or would it pull them together, forging an unbreakable bond in the tumultuous pursuit of a life she once only dreamed of? The next morning, sunlight filtered through the kitchen window, illuminating the worries etched across Sarah's face. Gracie and Max were already at the table, their laughter a sweet melody that fought against the shadows lingering in Sarah's mind. She poured cereal into bowls and nestled into the rhythm of their morning routine, though her heart remained heavy. With each spoonful of cereal, the note replayed in her thoughts. Back off or else. Who had sent it? Was it Walter Green trying to intimidate her? The thought of him looming in her life left her feeling both vulnerable and defiant. She was determined to push through the fear. This was about more than just her, it was for everyone who had been crushed under the weight of inequality in Cedarville. "Mom, are you okay?" Gracie asked, her innocent blue eyes searching Sarah's. "Yeah, honey, just a little tired," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. But Gracie was no fool. She noticed the slight tremble in Sarah's voice. It was moments like this that tightened Sarah's resolve. Her children deserved a mother who wasn't afraid to fight for right. Later that day, while waiting tables at the diner, Sarah's eyes darted toward the door every time it swung open, and when it did, every new face felt like a potential threat or a lifeline. Then, as if the universe had aligned, a familiar face entered. Eliza, a strong-willed woman who had lived in Cedarville forever, strode in confidently. Sarah's heart lifted. Eliza had a sharp mind and an instinct for navigating the local elite. "Eliza, can we talk?" Sarah beckoned, wiping her hands on her apron as she led her to a quiet booth in the corner. "What's going on, Sarah? You look like you've seen a ghost." Eliza leaned forward, concern etched on her brow. "I found my grandfather's journal. There is something in it, something about the wealthy folks in this town. I think I can expose them." Eliza stared at her for a long moment, weighing the gravity of Sarah's words. "You know they don't take kindly to that. It could get dangerous. I have to try. For my kids, for everyone who can't fight for themselves." Sarah's voice cracked with emotion, the fire of determination igniting her soul. Eliza nodded slowly, her expression shifting to one of admiration. "Okay, but if you're diving in, you'll need help. I know people, and I've heard things." From that moment forward, they forged a bond, mapping out strategies, making plans, and preparing for the battles ahead. Sarah shared her grandfather's notes, piecing together patterns of wealth and deceit in Cedarville's history. Eliza's insights were invaluable, her connections leading them deeper into the networks of power that had long gone unchecked. But as they delved deeper into uncovering truths, the risks increased. Sarah could feel the tension in the air thickening, almost alive, as if danger itself was breathing down her neck. Just as they left the diner one evening, a sleek black car idled nearby. The driver watched them intently, a chill creeping up Sarah's spine. "Who do you think it is?" Eliza whispered, clutching Sarah's arm, fear tinging her voice. "I don't know, but I think we've stirred something up." As the car began to follow them, Sarah's heart raced. This was more than just a fight for her family, it was a confrontation with the fear that had long governed Cedarville. The road ahead loomed with uncertainty, but one thing was crystal clear, she was not turning back now. How much was she willing to risk? What would she do if all of this led her down a path she couldn't return from? With every heartbeat, the stakes rose higher. The game was on, and the truth could shatter everything she held dear. But Sarah was ready. The only question was, were they? The next morning, Sarah could hardly shake off the unease that had settled in her chest. Each sound in the quiet house felt amplified, every creak and whisper lingering in the air like a warning. She forced herself to follow the routine, entertaining Gracie and Max with silly breakfast anecdotes, but the glimmer of joy felt distant, like a fading star. As she drove to the diner, the black car lingered in her mind, its shadowy presence clinging to her thoughts. Had she seen it again? Was it parked at the corner of the street or perhaps discreetly hidden behind a row of trees? Anxiety gnawed at her. "This isn't just a game anymore," she murmured to herself. Work was a blur of plates and orders, but the overhanging thrum of tension followed her like a ghost. In between serving customers, she scanned the diner's windows, half expecting to see that car's silhouette at any moment. Then things took a sudden shift. Eliza burst through the door, her expression a mix of excitement and urgency. "Sarah, you won't believe what I found." The sudden spark lit something in Sarah's heart. "What is it?" Eliza motioned for her to come closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Remember those rumors about the Green family's investments? They've been funneling money into several businesses in town, all while making it seem like they're just at the top of the food chain. But I found out they have ties to some questionable activities." This could be it, Sarah thought, the weight of her grandfather's journal pressing against her, urging her to push through. "But here's what's more important, Sarah," Eliza continued, "I got in touch with someone who knows something. They're willing to meet us tonight." "Meet?" Sarah's stomach flipped. But what if it's another trap? What if it's them? Exactly. Which is why we need to prepare. Bring the journal. If this is as big as we think, we need to document everything, Eliza replied, her determination palpable. The thought of diving deeper into the Green's world sent sparks of fear and courage dancing through Sarah. That night, she marked every notable entry, tracing the financial web her grandfather had laid out, creating a thread that led to powerful people. When the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah felt a nervous energy coursing through her veins. They met at a small cafe on the outskirts of Cedarville, a spot often overlooked. Candles flickered, casting shadows that danced along the walls, mirroring the turmoil inside her. Soon after sitting down, a man entered, disheveled but alert, his eyes scanning the room like he was measuring threats. "Are you Sarah?" he asked, his voice low. "Yes. And this is Eliza. What do you know?" He leaned in, casting glances toward the door as if afraid to be overheard. "I know about Walter Green and his plans, and I know they aren't going to back down. I've seen what happens to people who threaten his empire." Eliza gripped Sarah's wrist tightly, their eyes locked. In that moment, the weight of the journey ahead settled on their shoulders like a tangible force. "What do we do?" Sarah breathed, heart pounding against her chest. The man hesitated, then took a deep breath. "You need to be careful. They have eyes everywhere. Trust no one, especially those you want to expose, but there is something you can do," he whispered, drawing her in closer. The cafe's atmosphere seemed to thicken, holding its breath as his next words hung in the air like a fragile promise. "What if I told you I knew how to gather the evidence you need? But it comes with a price, and it involves a risk greater than either of you can imagine." Sarah could sense the shifting winds, the horizon of her life changing before her. Could she dare to take that leap? Her heart thundered, a mix of fear and courage swelling inside her. Was she ready to plunge into the depths of this dangerous fight for truth? As the shadows lengthened and her world tilted further into uncertainty, the stakes felt higher than ever. She was already on a precipice, ready for the plunge. But what awaited on the other side? The man leaned closer, urgency etched across his face. "If you want your evidence, it means infiltrating their operations. You can start by gathering intel on their financial meetings. They're scheduled often, and it's not as hard as you think to slip in unnoticed." Sarah's stomach twisted at the thought. "Infiltrate? You want us to blend in with them? It sounds dangerous." Eliza's grip on Sarah's wrist tightened. "But if anyone can do this, it's you. You have the journal, the knowledge your grandfather left behind. We just need to play it smart." "What is the first step?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, the weight of the world already pushing down on her. "I know a guy who can help you get in. He works security at one of Green's locations," the man replied, glancing around the cafe again, still wary. "He'll see through their security protocols. But you have to be ready for whatever plan he proposes. No backing out." Gracie's laughter echoed in Sarah's mind. It felt like a lifetime ago, a simpler time when stealing cookies from the jar was her biggest concern. Now, she was entangled in something far more sinister. A chill ran down her spine. "What is the cost?" Sarah asked, finding her courage lodged tightly in her chest. "The cost," he said, his eyes darkening, "is trusting me. I can put you at risk, but I can also keep you safe. If you're serious about exposing Green's empire, you need allies in places you wouldn't want to trust otherwise. Do you understand?" Eliza shifted, her gaze darting to the entrance as another patron came in, breaking the intensity of their conversation. "Sarah, whatever decision you make, I'm with you way beyond this moment. But you have to decide now. This is the turning point." "I need to think," Sarah replied, anxiety pooling in her stomach. What if this was a trap? What if they were walking right into the storm? "Take this." The man slid an envelope across the table. "Inside are details about the meeting. Time, place, and the access you'll need to get in. I'll be in touch. Just remember, the walls have ears." Sarah's fingers brushed the envelope, and the dark weight of the future bore down on her like a thundercloud. She could almost see the tightrope stretched in front of her, ready to walk on that line of danger, or retreat back to her children's laughter and the mundane worries of everyday life. But then, in the deep recesses of her heart, the memory of her grandfather flickered, his journal, his battles, and the legacy he fought for. "Okay," she finally said, her voice steady, determined. "I'll do it." The abrupt ringing of a phone broke their moment. The man shot a glance at his watch, panic flashing in his eyes. "I've gotta go. Don't let anyone know what you're planning." He slipped away from the table, a shadow disappearing into the darkness outside. Sarah looked at Eliza, who let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Are you really ready for this?" Eliza asked softly, concern tracing her features. "I don't have a choice," Sarah said, her heart hammering fiercely against her ribs. The moment had arrived, and with it, the pull of fate dug deeper. She had to uncover the truth, no matter the risks. But just as she steeled herself with purpose, her phone buzzed violently on the table, a message lighting up the screen. She glanced down, reading the words that turned her blood cold. "I see you. Watch your back." Her breath hitched, every instinct in her body screaming danger. In one swift moment, everything shifted again, a new layer of chaos descending on her world. What waited for Sarah in the shadows? Was the price of the truth worth the cost of her safety? Sarah felt the room tilt around her. The cafe, once just a place for coffee and chatter, felt like a trap closing in. She could almost hear Gracie, her little girl, asking if she could have another cookie. But the innocence of that moment faded quickly, replaced by the stark reality of her new life. Eliza leaned in, her forehead wrinkling with worry. "Did you see who sent it?" "No," Sarah whispered, heart racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on her, even in this cozy corner of the cafe. "Do you think it's a prank?" "Prank or not, it's a warning," Eliza said, determination rising in her voice. "We need to get out of here. Fast." Sarah nodded, pushing back her chair. She took a quick glance toward the door, her instincts kicking in. A man in a dark hoodie had just entered, scanning the room. She could feel the towel of fear ripple through her body. "Let us go now." They slipped through the back door. The air outside felt sharp, electric. Eliza grabbed Sarah's hand, leading her down the alley. They emerged into the parking lot, the familiar hum of city life pushing against them. "What are we going to do?" Sarah's voice shook. She still clutched the envelope, the weight of her grandfather's legacy heavy in her back. "Let us get to my car. We can figure everything out there," Eliza urged, her eyes darting around, ever watchful. They hurried towards Eliza's sedan, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every shadow seemed to loom larger, every sound a potential threat. Finally, they made it to the car and Eliza started the engine, the comforting roar of the vehicle offering Sarah a fragile sense of safety. "Okay, we have to focus," Eliza said, breathing heavily. "Let us look at what you've got there." With a hand that trembled, Sarah ripped open the envelope. Inside were neatly printed details about the upcoming financial meeting date, time, location, even a list of likely attendees. Her heart raced at the thought of infiltrating a place filled with the very people who had created the darkness she needed to expose. "This is solid intel," Eliza noted, peering at the papers. "But how do you plan to get in? You can't show up as yourself." Sarah pondered that question. Blending in would mean stepping into a world she disliked, perhaps even embracing a part of herself she wasn't sure she wanted to become. A disguise may be an employee. "I could say I'm part of their catering staff. That's common at these kinds of private meetings." "I don't like it." Eliza frowned, but the steely glint in her eyes said that she understood. "But if you're serious about this, it's not just about me," Sarah interrupted, her voice firmer. "It's for Gracie. It's for everyone who has suffered under greed. I have to do this." Just then, Sarah's phone buzzed again. Her heart froze. Eliza glanced nervously at her. It might be them again. Taking a deep breath, Sarah hesitated before unlocking her phone. The message sent a chill through her. "Tonight. Be ready." What does it mean? Eliza whispered, fear creeping into her voice once more. I don't know, she admitted, shaking slightly. But I have a feeling this isn't over. They're circling closer, and I don't think they're going to wait for the meeting. Eliza turned the car onto the main road, determined focus set in her features. We need a plan. And we need it fast. As they drove into the looming dusk, Sarah realized time was slipping away. The calm before the storm was nothing compared to the whirlwind that awaited them. But as they rounded the corner, Sarah noticed a figure standing by her house, a tall shadow with an unmistakable posture. Panic flooded her veins, and she whispered, Eliza, stop, I think someone is waiting for me. What secrets did the night hold? And would Sarah's quest for truth lead to enemies she never expected? Sarah's breath quickened as Eliza slammed on the brakes, the tire screeching against the asphalt. The figure in front of her house was unmistakable. It was Marcus, her estranged brother. She could see the uncertainty etched on his face, an unfamiliar tension coursing between fear and urgency. What is he doing here? Sarah muttered, gripping her bag tightly. A surge of emotions cascaded through her. Years of resentment clashed with the instinct to protect her family. Eliza, I can't face him, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. We don't have time to waste, Eliza urged, glancing nervously at the rearview mirror. If those people come after you tonight, you need to know if he is with them or not. Heart pounding, Sarah nodded slowly. She needed answers, and whether she liked it or not, Marcus might hold some of them. With shaky legs, Sarah stepped out of the car. The evening air felt cold against her skin, a stark contrast to the whirlwind inside her. Eliza remained alert in the driver's seat, ready to jump back into action. Marcus, Sarah called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. He turned, surprise mixing with caution as he took a few tentative steps closer. Sarah. Is that you? It's me. She could see the concern in his deep-set eyes, but it was masked with something else. Was it guilt? What are you doing here? I had to find you. His words came out in a rush, like a dam breaking. You got the letter, didn't you? Sarah felt her stomach drop at the mention of the ominous envelope. You know about it. I was afraid of this. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, glancing over his shoulder nervously. Listen, I can explain everything, but we need to talk somewhere safer. What do you know? The anger flared up in her chest like wildfire, but underneath it, a flicker of hope remained. Maybe this could be the connection she needed. I know about Green, about the things he has done. And I know you're in danger. His voice dropped, urgency threading through his tone. I didn't choose to be an accomplice. I've been trying to help from the inside without getting caught. But now it's worse than ever. Confusion washed over Sarah, mixing with the fear that had been her constant companion lately. Why didn't you come to me sooner? I was trying to protect you. His tone softened, but the wounded look in his eyes cut deeper than any harsh criticism could. I thought you'd be safer without knowing. I was wrong, and now they're coming for both of us. Just then, a sound pierced the night air, the roar of a motorcycle engine echoed through the stillness. The two exchanged fearful glances, and Marcus stepped closer. We don't have much time. Follow me. Without hesitation, Sarah complied, a mixture of dread and adrenaline pulling her forward. As they rushed around the side of the house, her mind raced. Could she trust him? Was he here to help, or was he drawing her closer to a trap? Where are we going? She asked, her voice strained. To the old shed behind the house, he said, glancing back and forth like a hunted animal. It's hidden. We can talk without being overheard. Eliza parked the car and slipped out, her expression filled with questions as they moved toward the shed. Don't worry, Eliza. I'll explain everything, Sarah promised, her voice barely strong enough to convince herself. Heart pounding, they ducked inside the neglected structure, the air stale with years of abandonment. Marcus quickly closed the door, the creak echoing in the silence that followed. What do you need to tell us? Eliza pressed, her eyes locked onto Marcus. As Sarah glanced between them, it hit her, the truth could change everything. With each moment that passed, the danger grew closer, she could feel it. But this could also be her chance to regain a sense of control. Okay, Marcus began, his voice low but charged. There is something I need to show you. Something that could turn everything upside down. Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite. But then doubt crept in. What if the truth was as dangerous as the lies? As the shadows closed in around them, Sarah wondered what secrets lay hidden in the darkness. Would she find the strength to confront her brother and the danger ahead? And what if those secrets held the key to saving her family? The shed smelled of damp wood and faded memories. Moonlight filtered through cracks, casting eerie shadows on the old tools scattered about. Sarah's heart raced as she met Marcus's eyes. He looked more like a stranger than the brother she once knew, yet that bond still pulsed beneath the surface, a fragile thread waiting to be pulled. Show us, Marcus, Sarah urged, her voice trembling. What are you talking about? Marcus hesitated, as if weighing the gravity of his next words. All those years you and I thought we'd left it behind. But Green is not done with us. He wants control of everything, and he knows you're the key. What do you mean? Eliza chimed in, her curiosity piqued but cautious. His organization needs your father's research. The letter you received wasn't just a threat, it was an invitation to the game, Marcus explained, his voice urgent, yet grim. I had to come. I thought if I could expose him from the inside, it would ensure your safety, but what? Sarah pressed, her mind swirling. But it was too late. No. He took a breath that seemed to pull the weight of the world. I didn't realize how deep it ran until I saw his men watching the house. Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her, her stomach twisted in knots. Why should I trust you? You're part of this mess, aren't you? You knew about this all along and didn't come to me? The hurt in her voice seemed to sink into the space between them like a physical thing, hanging heavy. Marcus looked pained, and for a moment, Sarah thought she saw a glimpse of the brother she used to confide in when everything felt right. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Because I was trying to protect you, Sarah. You have to believe me. I made mistakes, yes, but I've been gathering evidence. I was waiting for the right time to act. You are in the crosshairs now because of our past, because of Dad's work, and because Green knows you're a threat. What about Mom? Sarah asked suddenly, a mix of worry and desperation flooding her voice. Does she know? Is she safe? Marcus shook his head. If she knew the full extent of it, she would try to intervene. That's what Green wants her as leverage. He views your whole family as pawns. We're running out of time. The roar of a motorcycle intensified outside, rattling the wooden frame of the shed. The sound crept deeper into her bones, sending tingles of fear lacing through Sarah's veins. Marcus, we need to get out of here. Eliza exclaimed, stepping closer to Sarah. This isn't the place to talk anymore. We're exposed. Right? Marcus nodded, urgency painting his features. There's a way out through the back. There's a path along the creek that leads into the woods. It's our best chance. As they scrambled toward the back of the shed, Sarah's heart raced not just from fear but from a gnawing need for answers. What did you find out? What evidence do you have? Just trust me for a moment, Marcus said, glancing out the grimy window. We have to move first. You're safe with me, either I'm your brother, or I'm nothing at all, and that's not enough for me. As they made their way through the darkness, heartbeats synchronized in the rush of adrenaline, Sarah felt one thing with startling clarity: her brother was in this deeper than she originally thought. The truth she yearned for was just beyond reach, but every step forward punched through the walls they built between them. Yet, with every shadow that loomed ahead, she couldn't shake the question: had Marcus truly changed, or was this all part of a game they were now forced to play? Suddenly, a flashlight beam sliced through the dark, illuminating their path. Fear rippled through her. We need to hurry. They turned to run, unaware that the worst was still lurking in the unseen. What awaited them on the other side of those trees could be salvation or destruction. Would they escape the entanglement of lies, or was it already too late? The thrum of the motorcycle echoed just outside the shed, a sharp reminder that they were not alone. The beam of the flashlight danced wildly, illuminating the twisted branches and the walls of the old shed. Shadows seemed to lengthen in the corners, creeping and curling like ominous whispers. "Marcus!" Sarah hissed, feeling her pulse race faster than her thoughts. "We can't stay here." "We want tea," he replied, determination etched across his features. "Follow me closely. Just trust me." They squeezed through the back door, the wood creaking ominously as they slipped into the cool night air. The moon overhead cast a silver cloak over the landscape, but it wasn't enough to drown out the lurking dread in Sarah's chest. She glanced around, her instinct screaming warnings, but Marcus kept moving, his urgency driving her forward. Eliza stayed close to Sarah, her breath quickening as they navigated through the underbrush. "What if he catches us?" she whispered, eyes wide, scanning the shifting shadows for any sign of Green or his men. "He won tea," Marcus said as they ducked beneath a low-hanging branch. "We have the advantage of surprise. If we can reach the woods, we might just slip past him." Sarah's thoughts were racing, flaring with fear and anger. "You keep saying we, but you've been playing both sides. I don't even know what you really want, Marcus." He stopped and turned to face her, his eyes fierce and earnest. "I want to keep you safe. You may not believe it, but I'm risking everything trying to save you and Mom. They take family, Sarah. I can't let that happen to us again." Her heart ached at his words. Moments from their childhood flooded her mind when they would play in the creek, carefree and innocent. The idea that those memories were fragile strands woven into this tangled mess made her chest tighten. She didn't know if she could bear to trust him entirely, but she felt the faint pulse of hope. "Okay," Sarah said slowly, "I'll follow you. But the moment I feel like this is another trap, I promise you it's not," he interrupted, the weight of sincerity in his voice palpable. "We can figure this out, together. We just need to survive this night." With a deep breath, they pressed on, moving swiftly and quietly along the narrow creek that glimmered with starlight. Each shadow they passed felt more pronounced, fear binding them closer, but a flicker of hope began to bridge the chasms of doubt. Just as they neared the tree line, the sound of footsteps crunched behind them. Their hearts lurched in unison as they caught sight of the flashlight bobbing ominously through the darkness. "Run!" Marcus shouted, and the three of them took off, adrenaline thrusting them like deer through the tree-line. The ground beneath them was uneven, roots snaking up to trip them as they dove deeper into the woods, branches snatching at their clothes like fingers reaching out to pull them back into the darkness. Fear propelled Sarah forward. She could almost feel Green's men breathing down their necks, each pulse of her heart drumming a warning. "Over here." Marcus led them toward a narrow gap between the trees, an almost hidden trail beneath cascading leaves. Just when she thought they might find a moment's respite, the crackling of twigs echoed behind them. "Keep moving," Eliza gasped, stumbling but catching herself on a sturdy trunk. Suddenly, the cold chill of panic washed over Sarah. "Marcus, what if we're heading into a trap? What if there's nowhere left to run?" He turned and caught her gaze. "Then we'll have to fight our way out. I want to let them take you." But even as he said it, an unsettling thought wormed into Sarah's mind. Was this his plan all along, to face Green together? Did he think they could stand against the monster that had haunted their family for so long? They stumbled through the thicket, breathless and wild with fear, not knowing what awaited them on the other side. Every moment felt like it could change everything, thrusting them further into the chaos that surrounded their lives. Just then, a crackling noise exploded through the silence. As a group of figures emerged from the shadows ahead, weapons glinting menacingly in the moonlight. "Marcus!" Sarah whispered, terror flooding her voice. "What do we do now?" The truth was closing in. Would this be the moment everything changed, or was it the last stand before the storm? The air thickened with tension as the figure stepped into the moonlight. Sarah's breath caught in her throat, a sharp gasp escaping her lips when she recognized the glint of metal reflecting the pale glow. "Stay behind me," Marcus murmured, positioning himself in front of Sarah and Eliza, his body tense with anticipation. Fear swirled in Sarah's stomach like a storm. How could they possibly fight their way out against so many? "Who is there?" A gravelly voice called, slicing through the night. The men were clad in dark clothing, their faces obscured by shadows but their intentions clear. They were here for them. "Keep moving," Marcus insisted, dragging the girls back until they hit a wall of trees. Their retreat was fast, but the men were closing in. Sarah glanced back at Eliza, whose wide eyes mirrored her own terror. "We can't let them corner us." Eliza's voice trembled, urgency lacing her words. "This way." Marcus gestured to a gap between a cluster of trees that looked like a potential escape route. The three of them bolted, the undergrowth snapping underfoot as they hurried through the tight space. Just as they ducked through, blasts of light pierced the darkness behind them. "There they are. Get them." The shout thundered across the night. "Run!" Marcus shouted again, driving them forward. They dashed deeper into the woods, their hearts pounding like war drums. Sarah could hear her own breath echoing in her ears, but she pushed herself to keep going. In that moment, against the backdrop of looming danger, she realized she couldn't hide in fear anymore. She needed to find the strength within herself, as Marcus had shown her. They emerged into a small clearing, illuminated by the quivering moonlight. Tall grass surrounded them, swaying gently as a soft breeze whispered through the night. It was eerily calm, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah dared to hope. Then she heard the sound of footsteps crunching leaves, getting closer. "Over there, in the trees." One of the men shouted as they barreled into the clearing, their silhouettes stark against the serene night. Panic surged through Sarah, fighting against the flicker of hope that had sparked moments before. "Marcus!" Sarah shouted, her voice rising above the impending chaos. "What do we do now?" He hesitated for a second, eyes darting around the clearing, surveying their surroundings. "We need to get to that ridge," he pointed to the shadowy outline of a hill. "If we can reach that, we might find some cover." Without waiting for a response, he took off again, leading them toward the ridge with fierce determination. Sarah followed closely behind, her trust in Marcus tightening like a lifeline. The thundering footsteps grew louder, echoing through the trees like an ominous thunderstorm approaching. "They're gaining on us." Eliza panted beside her, fear leaking into every word. But Sarah dug deep, pushing aside the suffocating knots in her stomach. "We can make it. Just a bit further." The ridge was starting to feel like a beacon of hope, a place where they could finally regroup, catch their breaths, and figure out their next move. Just as they neared the base, a strong crackle of branches behind them sent panic fleeing through her veins again. "Go! Go!" Marcus yelled, propelling them forward. Suddenly, a loud shout pierced the night air. "Stop them! They're headed toward the ridge." Panic rose to a crescendo as Sarah urged herself to keep moving, legs burning with exhaustion. They were so close, yet so far, and the weight of the dark figures behind them loomed larger than the shadows surrounding the trees. But just as they reached the crest, a figure jumped down from the other side, blocking their path. Sarah's heart sank. "Marcus, what now?" She breathed, dread heavy on her chest. In that moment of unknowing, she realized their survival might not just depend on running, it could hinge on the decisions they made next. Would they find a way to turn the tides before it was too late? The figure that loomed in front of them was unmistakable. It was Walter Green himself, and the men behind him closed in, creating an impenetrable wall of muscle and menace. Panic surged through Sarah as she caught a glimpse of the cold, calculating gleam in Green's eyes. Her heart raced, a drum pounding in her chest, propelling her forward even as every instinct screamed to flee. "Did you really think you could just expose me and walk away?" Green's voice dripped with disdain, his tone low and threatening. "Child's play, Sarah. This is where your little adventure ends." Get away from us, Marcus said, fists clenched, stepping protectively in front of Sarah and Eliza. The bravery flickering in his eyes surprised her, but the dread was palpable. She felt the fear creep back in, clamping down on her chest. Your brother is quite the hero, isn't he? Green taunted, a mocking smile twisting his lips. But what do you think protecting these two will accomplish? You're already too far gone. Leave us out of this. Eliza shouted, her voice ringing with fierce determination. That's where you're wrong, Green replied, his gaze sharp as a knife. You've already dragged yourselves into something you cannot comprehend. I'm afraid there's no way out for anyone involved. Sarah's mind raced, searching for a way to flip the script. You're wrong, she cried, mustering every ounce of courage she had. My grandfather left behind secrets that could expose you. You think you're untouchable, but you're not. Green's smile faltered for a brief moment, but it quickly returned, darker this time. You don't truly believe you can intimidate me with his ravings, do you? This town belongs to me. In that instant, an idea sparked within Sarah, bright and vivid like a lightning bolt. She remembered the journal, the layers of insights her grandfather had accumulated over the years. Marcus, the evidence. She whispered urgently. We can turn this around. Show him what we have. Marcus hesitated only for a moment, and in that pause, Sarah felt the weight of their journey crushing down, but desperation lit her resolve. Without any more hesitation, she pulled the journal from her bag, clutching it tightly as she stepped forward. Green, you don't know what you're up against. My grandfather collected evidence on all your dealings. You're hiding behind power, but secrets have a way of surfacing. And what's more powerful than the truth? Her voice trembled, but it rang with conviction. Lies are stronger than truth, Sarah. You should know better, Green sneered. Eliza, the backup. Marcus looked at Eliza, whose face was pale but fierce. She nodded, preparing herself to take action if necessary. The shimmer of lights flickered through the trees as a hum of bikes echoed in the distance. A sign of help or a coming storm? Sarah couldn't be sure, but she prayed it was the former. Green's attention shifted slightly, uncertainty flickering across his face at the mention of her grandfather's legacy. You're bluffing, he asserted, despite the glimmer of doubt in his eyes. Bluffing? Sarah countered, her voice rising defiantly. You know if I confront you now, what we've uncovered will come to light. You've left a trail of breadcrumbs that will lead straight back to you. Each word resonated with the weight of hope and determination. Suddenly, the roar of motorcycles erupted through the clearing, and within seconds, a group of local townsfolk, led by Jake, poured into the glade, faces set, eyes fierce. The weight of solidarity filled the air like a force of nature. What the hell is going on? Jake shouted, flanking Sarah's side as he assessed the scene. Step away from them, Walter. Another voice, strong and commanding, sliced through the atmosphere. It was Eliza, unyielding now, representing the very community Green thought he had silenced. Are you really going to side with outsiders? Green scoffed, shifting his attention to the newcomers. They're not outsiders, Jake boldly stepped forward, his voice unwavering. They're the heartbeat of this town. And we're done letting you dictate our lives. The men surrounding Green hesitated, glancing back and forth. Their confidence flickered. Green, ever the calculating player, gauged the situation. Don't do anything rash, he warned, but there was a tremor in his voice. But I think you should be worried about how deep the truth runs. Sarah threw back, a rush of empowered ferocity surging through her. The townsfolk moved in, emboldened by her defiance. In that moment, everything pivoted. The weight of history enveloped them, the struggle for decency against a faceless monster. Sarah's determination cascaded into the shared resolve of their community, a collective will against the shadow looming over Cedarville. Enough of this charade. Green shouted, his bravado faltering as he took a step back, realizing the tide was shifting against him. We're not afraid of you anymore, Sarah declared, heart pounding. It's time to confront the darkness and let the light of truth shine through. And in that whirlwind of conviction, the scene reached a fever pitch as the community surged forward, reclaiming their stories, their hopes, their lives. It was no longer just Sarah's fight, it was theirs. Marcus and Eliza stood beside her, family and friends uniting in a powerful bond, ready to expose the deceit that had overshadowed their lives for too long. In that moment of unity of strength, the darkness quaked. She finally understood, sometimes love and courage don't eliminate fear, but they can illuminate the truth that sets you free. As Green retreated, the momentum of change bolted through Cedarville like a wildfire, echoing hope into every corner. With hearts intertwined amid the chaos, Sarah felt more than just resilience, she felt invincible. The road ahead was uncertain, but together, they possessed the strength to rewrite their stories and a chance to forge a new future, one filled with hope, justice, and undeniable power. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, as they stood together, ready to face whatever came their way. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss any of the exclusive stories that will follow. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts and minds. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let's spread the message of courage and community.